Hello everyone and welcome back into another video. Today we're playing Warframe and we have a new character in here. We have Jade. She is an incredible support Warframe with an insane Exalted weapon that can deal a little bit of damage. We will see that, but yeah, she's a jack of all trade. I will say she basically has everything she needs to play solo, but also enough to support your teammates, and she actually might be one of the best support Warframes, if not the best in general, in the game at the moment. But yeah, with that, let's jump into the build. Okay, as always, let's start with Archon Shards. I am currently using two Tau-forged red shards with ability strength, two Topaz Archon Shards to increase secondary crit chance whenever we kill an enemy affected by hit status with our secondary weapons, up to a maximum of 75, so 150 with both of the shards. And for personal preference, I am using one Ember Archon Shards with casting speed. You can use whatever Archon Shard you prefer in here. You can go for another Topaz if you have it. You can go for more duration or more strength. This is your flex slot for your build. You can also run a full 5 set of Topaz shards or red shards. They are similar in terms of how much damage you can gain, but of course having some ability strength is nice to increase the overall power of your abilities. Since the topic is abilities, let's actually have a look at them, because this is a new Warframe and of course there are a few things we have to know. First of all, let's start with the passive, and what a passive. This is actually probably the best passive in the game. So basically, you now can equip 2 aura mods, that's why we have 2 appear. Plus, whenever your abilities apply Judgment, which is like a debuff onto enemies, those enemies will take 50% more damage for 10 seconds. Just for free. You just play Jade and you will eventually apply Judgment and deal 50% more damage. That is insane. That also applies to your allies because it's a debuff on the enemy. We're already starting strong with the passive. Moving on to her first ability, Light's Judgment. This ability is a projectile you throw on the ground. It explodes. It won't deal damage, it just expands into an AoE. And when the AoE is active, enemies inside will take damage. And you will also heal all allies that are in the affinity range, I think it is. So if your allies are taking damage like 30 meters away from where you are, they are now healing. And the healing is actually insane because it's 23% of your max health per second. That is just insane. It's also percentage HP, not just flat HP. So Inaros mains and Nidus mains are happy because of that. You can also have up to 5 of these AoEs on the ground. They will cover a pretty big area if you spam them around, plus enemies that are inside the AoE will also be affected by judgments. The ability is kind of cheap as well. It's only 31.25 energy with 75% efficiency. Then we have her second ability, Symphony of Mercy. This ability is divided into 3 parts. Basically, you have either shield regeneration, you can increase your weapon damage, or you can increase power strength. You can rotate between those 3 abilities as much as you want, even if the ability is already active. So if you activate the ability and you actually want to swap into something else, the cooldown will slowly go down, but you're still able to cycle through all those abilities and change them depending on the situation. So it's pretty powerful. Plus, you can extend the duration of this ability up to, I think, double the amount of your base duration by 2 seconds whenever you kill an enemy affected by judgment. So the more enemies you kill that have the judgment mark, the more your second ability will last. So what I suggest doing usually is stick to power strength. But of course, depending on the situation, you might want some more weapon damage. You may want to recharge some shields a bit faster, you know, all those things. And yeah, there we go. Moving on to her third ability, we have Ophanim Eyes. This ability is quite interesting. You basically have this cone in front of you that will slow enemies down and strip them of their defenses, so both shields and armors, which, you know, it's pretty much the 90% of enemies' health. You will deal some damage to enemies that enter your field of view. Kind of negligible, but you can spot enemies that way. Like if you're far away and you don't see where an enemy is, by seeing the damage numbers, you can actually find that enemy. You can increase the defense reduction per second by increasing your power strength, but you cannot increase the slow effect per second, which is capped at 15% per second, up to a maximum of 90%. So just as a recap, we now have a debuff on enemies that makes them take more damage, an ability that can heal your allies, an ability that can increase power strength, weapon damage, or increase shield regeneration, And now we can also strip enemies of their armor and slow them. And that makes 3 out of 4 abilities. We still have 1, and she is already insane and better than 90% of the other Warframes in the game. Finally, we have Glory on High. This is her 4th ability. Whenever you activate the ability, you start flying in the air. It works kind of an Archwing, although a bit different because it's a bit slower, I say. If you're used to Titania, she is similar in terms of movement, but it's less maneuverable. So, you know, it's still amazing and you are still very fast while flying in the air, but it's nothing insane. Anyway, whenever you activate the ability, you consume a bit of energy, and then the ability will start draining energy per second. The radius is the radius of your attacks. So in this case, 2.9 meters of AoE on your normal attacks. Damage is the base damage of the Exalted weapon, and the alternate fire damage is the damage of the alternate fire. I'll explain that later because it's a bit different. Anyway, we then have the alternate fire radius. The empowered range multiplier is basically a multiplier that affects the radius of your normal attacks and alternate fire radius by, in this case, 1.5 times the range if enemies are standing in your 1, so Light's Judgment. The Judgment chance is the chance of enemy being affected by Judgment whenever you hit them with your Exalted weapon. And the damage reduction is just damage reduction. It's 50% more damage reduction because, of course, you might need some survivability, you know. But yeah, those are 4 of the abilities. I'll actually show you the alternate fire now, and then we can move on. The alternate fire is this. You use your 1, and that will mark enemies with Judgment, and now you are able to use the alternate fire. So we click mid scroll, and yeah, you do a big explosion. And this is the normal attack. Anyway, back to the build. All right, we have a few options here, but I do recommend using Rowing Power and Aerodynamics as your aura mods. That is actually weird to say, but yeah, those are probably the best aura mods for her. And Aviator for the same reason, because 40% less damage while you are flying in the air. Then I'm using Armor Vitality and Armor Intensify to increase my health and my power strength by quite a bit. Blind Rage to increase my ability strength by 99%, and to counteract the negative ability efficiency, I am using Streamline. Then we have Flow to increase our energy pool, Stretch to increase our range, Prime Continuity to increase our duration, and Equilibrium to make the build a bit more bearable, because with negative efficiency it's annoying to deal with the drain per second, and that kinda helps everything else, but yeah. Then we are using Arcane Velocity that increases fire rate by 120% on critical hit. The chance is 90%, but we have AoE weapons, so it doesn't matter. And finally, we are using Molt Augmented to increase our ability strength even more. So how do we use Jade? You have your 1 that applies Judgment, which is that mark onto enemies. Your 2, that you can just hold to activate and rotate by just tapping the ability. And as you can see, I'm rotating between all the buffs, and the cooldown is still slowly going down. Then we have our 3. This cone in front of us that will strip enemies of their armor, in this case. And also deal a bit of hit damage. Of course, against level 50 enemies, it can actually maybe kill them. And now for her 4th ability, I'm actually gonna summon higher level enemies, because those are way too weak. Let's activate everything else again, because why not? And her 4th ability, you know, it looks something like this. And you can also separately mod your Glory, which is your Exalted weapon. The build I am using, it's pretty basic. I'm going for both the crit chance mod and crit damage mod, galvanized diffusion and little torrent for multi-shot, hornet strike for damage, galvanized shot for more damage and more status chance. And I am only building into heat because I am using those topaz shards, so I want to increase my hit damage as much as possible. The way I can increase my secondary crit chance by up to 150% after killing some enemies. Weapon choices. This time I am using all of Jade's signature weapons because of this part of the description of all the weapons, actually, which says that if you're using all of them at the same time, you gain pretty much double the buffs you usually will get from these weapons, which are multi-shot from her bow, reload speed from her secondary weapon, and finally status duration from her melee. Then I'm using Madurai, that is as always because of the more efficient void slings, more power strength for your Warframe, and faster casting speed for your Warframe. By the way, if you go into operator mode while you're using your fort ability with Jade, she will just stay there and fly. Then when you press 5 again, she teleports back to your position. Anyway, that is pretty much Jade and how to build her and play her. I am gonna add those 10 minutes of Steel Path Survival at the end of the video as always, so you can see how actually insane she is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content. Have a great rest of the day and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Life support has been cut off. They're trying to choke you out. Hold on. I'm sending auxiliary life support.
Oh, I can't see the color running through your veins, and I can't breathe, and everything you do is bad. Love me. Oh, I can't see the color running through your veins, and I can't breathe, and everything you do is bad. Oh, I can't see the color running through your veins, and I can't breathe, and everything you do is bad. Love me. I want you to come over. I wish that you would come and give me something to prove. Won't you pull me closer? I think that I'm obsessed with everything that you do. I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this.
Prepare for life support.
I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, call me a fan. I'm living, give me your hand. I'm in it, yeah. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do. We've been making magic, and sometimes I get nervous, but too good to believe. I don't know how it happened, but baby, I'm ecstatic that you're sticking with me. I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this. I wanna be with you. say that love is blind, but I never trusted sight. When I turn and look inside, there's nothing I can find. In the silence of the night, when my demons come alive, I hear a voice disguised, telling me we're not alright.